Hi guys, John from P&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Mazda Bongo Aero. So we start under the bonnet. We've got your engine battery over here on the left hand side, and your leisure battery is over here on the right. So the leisure is always going to be the one over here which says, obviously it says leisure on it, but the Power Max one. So that's how you can sort of work out which one's which. There's not much to be, there's not too much coming out from the actual leisure battery itself, and the actual battery that was in here, I haven't had to change it. It was good solid battery, nothing wrong with it whatsoever. So that is all good. What else have we got? We've got the brake fluid attached to the servo just down the back. Washer fluid just here at the very front. I'm sure there's a couple other bits just inside here, but the actual engine in these vans sits between the two driver's seats, inside the van a little bit. So the other sort of levels and bits and pieces that you'll be able to see are just inside there. The engine coolant is this one just over here, and at the moment you see it's cold and the level is just there between the minimum and maximum line. So that's all good. I think that's about all you can actually get to for under the bonnet. So yeah, right, so carry on onto the passenger side now, so the near side. I'm not convinced there's too much to show you actually inside the passenger door. I will go inside you and show you a couple of bits on the driver's side, because obviously you've got the whole how you drive it and all that kind of stuff. But as for the actual passenger side, there's not too much at all. I will obviously go on the inside in just a minute, but I'll just go around the outside first. At the back, I've just literally come to the end of doing the habitation check, so that's why I've got a few bits and pieces out. At the back, you've got your gas bottle inside this cupboard just here, which again, I will show you inside in a minute when we get inside. At the back, again, not really too much to show you. You've got two gas struts holding this rear door up, so it does kind of open up on its own. So you don't have to sort of hold it up with anything like that. Your external hookup point, this one just here, and as soon as you plug this hookup cable in, your battery charger starts to charge up your leisure battery without having to sort of turn any buttons on or do anything at all. So that's all working exactly how it should. The petrol filler cap should have a, there you go, a little puller just here. So you see there now, that opens up, and you don't need a key to actually get that cap open, because obviously it's locked up until you pull that thing. So you would need to be able to get into the van to open that anyway, so that's why they don't have a lock on it. The bonnet release is the one just next door to that, just here. Now obviously it's automatic gearbox, so if you're going to try, just sort of drive away and drive normally, foot on the brake and then pull the button just here and down to drive. S and L, you don't really normally need to use that. I mean, to be honest, it's quite a powerful engine for the size of vehicle that it is, so it's unlikely that you'd need to use those. But essentially what they are is like a low range kind of gear. So if you're going to be going up a really steep hill, or something like that, then sometimes you can need to sort of shift down a little bit, because the automatic gearbox will always try and keep you in the best, most efficient sort of way, or revs and all that sort of stuff. If you are going up a really steep hill and you're struggling to get any power to go down, then like I say, you can choose S or L, but it will just shift you down to second or first gear. But you shouldn't ever need to do that really, like I said, because it's quite a big engine for the size of vehicle that it actually is. Otherwise, neutral just above the drive there. Reverse is the first one down like usual. And yeah, park at the very top. So if you're gonna come to a stop, you can do two things. You can leave it in park and just leave it like that, or you can pop the handbrake on as well, which is something that I like to do personally. Obviously, being an automatic gearbox, having the park there is okay to use, but if you're on like a bit of a steep verge, or on a hill of some sort, I would always advise you to use the handbrake to actually stop the vehicle rather than the park, mainly due to the fact that park is basically just a piece of metal in the gearbox, which sort of stops it from rolling, and that's fine if you're on sort of flat ground. But if you're anything sort of quite steep, it can you know, it's a bit dodgy, but there you go. When you come to a stop, park, handbrake, and that's it. Because it's a Mazda, it's not all the Mazdas are, but usually the imports have got the indicators and lights on the right hand stalk rather than the left. Wipers obviously in turn are on the left hand stalk rather than the right. Electric folding mirrors from that switch just there, and electric adjusting mirrors, so you go left or right and then move this little dial around depending on how you want the actual mirror to move. To actually start the vehicle itself, I haven't actually got the key on me right now, but all you need to do, you see the little red dot just here, key goes in the ignition and turn the ignition to on, and then you just need to press the button on the little fob that you've got. It's the right hand button of the two, and when you do that, this little thing here will go green, and then you can start the van up. You can also use that fob to actually lock and unlock the cab. So, you know, once you've pressed the button, got in, you should just be able to start it anyway because you've already pressed it to get in. But if you find that that's red, you won't be able to start the van. And in fact, I think if you try and start it with it red like that, I'm pretty certain that the alarm will go off. So just make sure that you press the button before you start trying to start the van up. But it's all pretty simple. Once you get the hang of it, it's easy peasy. Hazard lights, just there in the middle. All of this stuff here is the original Mazda heater settings. So, you know, you've got air conditioning switch just here, mode, which is basically telling the air where to go. Warm the front windscreen up. Oh, sorry, can't really see there. Front windscreen, heated rear window, auto setting. You can turn the entire thing off just there. So, you know, there's unlimited ways really of, you know, heating and cooling the van. A really nice doubled in Pioneer head unit just there with Bluetooth. I see there it's got Bluetooth function on there. So yeah, really nice that that's already there. We haven't fitted that. That was obviously just there, you know, when we got the van. So it's really handy to have that kind of thing already fitted because they're not cheap to actually buy. So yeah, really nice spec in the cab. You've got electric windows just there, and yeah, I think that's about it actually for the cab. So, to be honest, there's not a huge amount to show you on the inside. It's all pretty straightforward and simple, which is good. But I will do so anyway. I'll show you a couple of bits. So, first off, I'll show you up here. So you've got your control panel. I have written on the hab sheet itself that it's a bit of a mistake on the on behalf of whoever's done the actual conversion, to be completely honest. But you've got a switch on the very left hand side here which says car or van. So ideally you'd be wired in so that the leisure battery would work on the van side, but at the moment it actually works on the car switch. So you need to press the button to go up to where it says car rather than van. So, you know, like I said, normally the sort of controller or the control panel, van would mean leisure battery and car would mean engine battery, but for some reason it's been wired around the other way. So if you want to use anything in the back end, like your lights and your pump and all that sort of stuff, switch the switch up to car, and then you see straight away you've got right up into the green. So you've got really, really good power in the battery. The battery charges up one of two ways. Like I showed you before, you've got the hookup cable plugged into the van outside at the moment, which is why it's right the way up at the green. So that's just proving to you there that your battery charger is working. Or if you don't have access to a hookup cable, or you're wild camping, whatever, if you take the van for a nice long drive, or even just start it up for sort of 10 minutes or so, as soon as the engine battery starts charging up via your alternator, there's a couple of wires that go from one battery to the other, and basically the leisure battery just charges straight from that. So anytime you drive the van, both engine and leisure batteries are being charged up, you know, without you having to do anything at all. So yeah, that's the two ways that you can keep the batteries topped up. It's really, really good if you do that. If you can put a hookup cable into the van every now and again, or take it for a good long drive, then you know you shouldn't have any problems with either of the batteries whatsoever. Otherwise, you've got three more switches. So you've got pump, which has got a light on it. The reason they normally have a little light on it is because it is best to leave it off when you're not using it. Reason for that is, if for some reason the pump was to run on without you realising, without you actually putting the tap, and you have the switch on like that, then you burn the pump out, sorry, and you'll have to replace it. So it's a really good idea. Leave the pump switch off if you're not using the tap at all. Lights and aux. So aux is probably your fridge. Don't hold me to that because I don't know if it actually is, but usually the aux switch will be like an isolator for your switch, for your fridge, sorry. So when you come into the van, if you're not going to use the pump, leave the pump switch off, but the other two you can pop straight on. And then you see up there, you've got these lights up here, two up there as well, which, to be fair, being LED lights, they are actually really quite bright. So I don't feel the need that, I don't feel like it needs any more light in here whatsoever, and it's actually daytime, so I don't think that's going to be a problem whatsoever. I think it's plenty bright enough. Under these two, as you probably know, you've got a 2-burner hob over here on the left hand side, which is really nice and simple. If you want to light either of these up, it's just like any household cooker. You just push in and round to the left to allow the gas to come through. Obviously this one is for the run on the right, this one for the left. And then whilst you're doing that, you need to push down on this piezo igniter. So you can probably see there in the video, this little part just here is your ignition. So if I press the button, you see the spark going across. So, I'm not going to show you how to do that because that's simple stuff. Just push in and round. Whilst you press the button, it will light up. The only other thing to know about these is that you've got a little prong of metal at the back of here, just here, which is called a thermocouple or a flame failure device. And what that does is it recognises burning gas coming through, and then if for some reason the flame gets blown out by someone or something, wind, whatever, the thermocouple will recognise that and it will stop any excess gas coming through. It doesn't happen instantly, and if you use either of these hobs, when you switch them off, about sort of 15-20 seconds later, you'll hear a big like a click noise, and that's basically the thermocouple switching itself off. So essentially you won't be able to draw loads of gas into the van, because I've checked both of these as part of the hab check. If you want to use your tap, I'll show you where the water is. It's just in this lower cupboard down here, but the only thing to bear in mind is that this van hasn't got a separate waste tank. So when you use the water, if you want to do it properly and not get into any trouble on your campsite, then you will probably want to get what's called a rollaway, which is basically just a big water tank on wheels, and you basically just slide it underneath the van where the actual waste drain is, and then just take the cap off, so that when you use this, whatever goes down this plug hole will go straight out onto the floor. Well, instead of going straight onto the floor, it will go into your tank that you put underneath outside. It's the same on most of these bongos, and in fact most small vans, to be completely honest with you. It's unusual. I mean, sometimes they'll have two tanks just inside here, but instead of doing that in this one, they've actually left you with loads of storage and just put a little 10-litre tank for the fresh water down here out of the way. So pros and cons to the both, but like I said, if you want to do it properly, if you're at home on your driveway, then by all means just pour the water and it'll just go out onto the floor. But if you're at a campsite, sometimes they can be a bit funny about your grey water and where it goes. So get a little roll away and pop it underneath where the water comes out. But that's it. I've checked that the water comes out nicely, and it does. Pump works straight away first go. It's a submersible pump, so it works by 12-volt power. So basically there's no real pressure behind this tap, because the only time the pump runs is when you lift the handle. It doesn't run on afterwards to get the pressure or anything like that. So like I said, there's no massive pressure anywhere, nothing to worry about at all. I'll shut this down and show you your fridge. So in my opinion, the fridge just could not be any easier whatsoever. The way to turn it on, you've got this little dial over here on the right hand side, and if I turn it around to the right like that, straight away I can hear it already. The little compressor in the back of the fridge just starts up, and that is it. That is quite literally all you need to do. it being a 12-volt fridge means that obviously it does use power from your battery, like anything would. The only thing I'd sort of point out is if you're going to use this for a long period of time and you're not going to start the engine, or you're not going to drive it, or you're not going to have a hookup cable plugged in, you can sometimes run into the fact that your leisure battery will drain down a little bit. Now obviously you can keep on top of that by keeping your eye on the little dial just here, and at the moment we're, you know, right up in the green. The reason for that is that I've got the hookup cable plugged in and the charger is keeping the battery topped up. So if you're going to go wild camping, just bear in mind, if you're going to have no charge whatsoever, so no engine running, no hookup cable, just keep your eye on that dial up there and make sure that you don't start going into the red. If you do start going into the red, it's not a problem. You can just start the engine up for a little while, you know, and leave the fridge on, because the fridge will still work when you're driving, when your engine's running and all that. But just start it up for a little while, and that'll just bring your battery back up to charge, and then you can start over again. It's not a big deal whatsoever. It just, the fridge itself, you know, the lights are a 12-volt drain, definitely, but the fridge is way more, and you know, it's by far the most powerful thing in the van. So just keep your eye on the battery level when you've got this on. If you've not got a hookup cable available to you, start the van up for a little while every now and again if it starts going low, but otherwise just don't worry about that at all. Right, so I'll show you what else we've got. I'll just show you all the cupboards. So like I was saying, under here, loads of storage. I mean, you know, I know it's a small van, but to be fair, the design of the van is really good. Usually, like I said, they'd have like 2 great big water containers inside here, and it's just, you know, fully loaded, no space whatsoever. But at least here you get a little bit of space under the sink to actually put all, you know, whatever you like. So that's that. I'll just point out to you as well, this part down here is an original Mazda thing. So usually if this was an 8-seater like it would have been originally, then this is like the external heating basically. This is obviously all engine related, so this will only work when your engine's hot and all that sort of stuff and the engine's running. But it's basically the external heating system. But yeah, so what I'll do now, just pull this seat all the way forward and then use this lever just here on the side to release the back of the chair so that you've got space to get in here, which I will do. Pull this seat back a little bit, and then you've got good access to these cupboards here. The other thing I'll point out is that I've got the back door open at the moment, and if you can do that, you know, if you can have the back door, if it's a nice day outside obviously, if you can have the back door open, you can really put these back seats right the way back. I mean, there's loads of space here now. So, you know, it's a really nice design actually, I think. I like having these sort of roller seats, because you can leave it as a, well, what's that, six-seater, or just use them as a gigantic bed. It's yeah, really good. Easy to use as well. So again, loads of storage. So there's not anything in here whatsoever that you need to worry about. You know, you can just shove whatever you want in here. Really nice amount of storage in there. And then the lower cupboard, like I said, is your freshwater tank. Now it's about half full, so it's about 5 litres in there. So, you know, I thought I'd leave a little bit in there just so that you can use it when you get the van and things. But yeah, that's that. When you want to fill it up or sort of empty it out, clean it, whatever, all you need to do is lift up on the bottom of this little clip here, and then the rest of this sort of strap here will come out, and then you literally just lean it over towards you, pull it out. It's really easy. I did it myself just about 10 minutes ago, or well 10 minutes before the video, sorry. And you know, really nice and simple. And to be fair, I think it's 10 litres, or it might be 20 perhaps, but it's a really nice size water container. I mean, like I said, normally you just have a fresh and a waste inside this cupboard. You can see that's, you know, much bigger than that cupboard, so having it down there means it can be a lot bigger as well. And then this cupboard at the back, again, loads of storage. The only thing that you've got in here that I need to show you is your trip switch. So basically, if you had your hookup cable plugged in and you wanted to use one of these plug sockets just here, and you know something dodgy got plugged into it, then basically it would trip from inside here. If you find that nothing's working at all still and it's not tripped down there, it might be a case of having to look at the post that you're plugged into at your campsite, because they'll have a little trip on that as well. It just depends really. But yeah, like I said, I'm just quite impressed with the amount of storage in here. I mean, even up here, that's quite a deep cupboard. Right, let me just hop out again and move this seat backwards. So I'm not the best cameraman in the world, but there we go. Right, let me just see if I can just undo this quickly with one hand. Right, I'll just pop you down for a second and I'll just release this roof. And so, by the way, all I'm doing is pushing in on this little clip here and pulling the strap out. So I'll just carry on doing that a second. Right, I'll just do it on the other side as well. Same thing. Okay, so now that they're both out, this one's got a little bit left in it, so I'll just pull that all the way out. Because it's on gas struts again, just like the back door, you can literally just push the, I mean, I've literally got it with one hand, push the entire roof up and it just goes up on its own. Exactly the same idea with the bed as well. So you've got these, so a bit awkward with one hand, but you've basically just got these slats and you can lift it up, get rid of the last one as well. So I can't do it with one hand, but basically lift up the last one, put it all the way to the back, and then you've got a load of space here for sitting around. I'm stood right up right now, and you know, loads of space overhead. You can open up these so that you can see straight out, and it's like a fly screen in here, so you won't get any flies coming in. Or if the weather's horrible, you can leave them over across, and you've got the same just here. To be completely honest as well, the actual fabric that goes up with the roof, I know you've got a couple of little marks just here, but usually even a sort of roof about sort of 5-6 years old can have tears and rips and things like that, but this one's in really good condition. So I don't know if that's just the material that they've used or just the quality of it, I'm not sure, but like I said, I was expecting it to be a little bit sort of torn up and ripped, but whoever's had it before has definitely looked after it. Definitely. Right, so that's it, yeah. So again, if I just hop out, roof up like that, and I mean, you saw how quickly it takes to actually put it up, and it's exactly the same for coming down. The only thing you need to point, I can't do it with one hand and show you at the same time, but the only thing to point out, when you're pulling the roof down, when you get down to sort of nearly closed, you'll find that the sides will be out the edges, and the front as well sometimes. So it is handy if you've got somebody else with you as well to say, you know, walk around the outside and say, oh, that bit's hanging out, that bit's hanging out. But you will pretty quickly get the hang of it. When you pull it down, just try and pull the edges in as well. Go around, just pull the edges in a little bit, and then just come all the way down, and you'll find that it sort of comes in on its own nicely anyway. But that's the only thing to point out. You can get a bit of a breeze if you close it down and the front has got a load hanging out the front, you'll find that it sort of flaps around a little bit when you're driving. So make sure that all of the fabric's in, and when you pull it down, strap it back across quite tight with that. But that's it. Yeah, they're really nice, solid, strong roofs. And yeah, so there you go. I think that's about all I can show you on the van, to be honest. I've tried to be quite in-depth with it. Oh, I'll tell you what, no I haven't. Let me show you the gas. That would have been stupid. Right, I'll just pull this seat forward a sec. A little bit. So this lower cupboard down here is your gas locker. Any vents that were in the van before have been sealed up nicely, so there's no gaps going out anywhere, apart from underneath the bottle you've got a couple of dropout holes which they need to have. I've had to fit a new hose to it, so it's 2019 dated, but it is brand, well, it's not been used before, it's new hose, but it is a couple of years old, so you've got till 2024 to replace that. The regulator on the top of the bottle top regulator is new as well. To turn it on is anti-clockwise around to the left, and to turn it off is clockwise around to the right. And when you eventually get around to having to change this bottle, all you need to do is literally loosen off this strap, exactly the same as the water tank, and then literally just spin this off the top of the bottle basically, or spin the bottle off that. It literally just sort of tightens up, turns itself onto the bottle. So yeah, that's about it. Make sure that you switch it off before you start driving, and then you'll be good to go. Right, so the only things really to remember: switch your gas off before you start driving, 100% definitely. If you've got stuff in the fridge that you want to keep cold when you're driving, that's fine, leave it on. And also to keep your eye on the battery level. If you're not going to have anything charging the battery at all, no hookup, no engine running, depending on how long you're going to be using the fridge for, just keep your eye on that battery level. And then other than that, you'll be completely fine. Right, so I think I've shown you everything I can. If you think there's anything I've missed out or anything you want going over, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.